Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Em and welcome to my summer book haul. So I do my book hauls seasonally, so I will link my spring book haul down below if you want to see it. This is not as big as last time's, which is good. However, my birthday month is July. I think that's really all I need to say. To explain the situation. I also think the theme for this particular book haul is sequels. There's a lot of sequels to series in this collection of books. Not exclusively, obviously. I do have a bunch of standalones, beginning of series, etc. But there are a lot of series, which is good because that's like my goal this year is to really start clipping through the series that I'm reading. So I guess let's just dive in. I usually go in chronological order from the books that I purchased after I had done my last book haul to the book I got in the mail today. but I didn't reverse my stack over here. So I think we're just gonna go rogue. And Emily, when you're trying to do your fall book haul and you can't remember which book you left off with, I'm so sorry. To share this chaos with you, but that's just where we are. I guess we'll just start with the biggest stack. We have my most recent Artvark book club selection, and if you didn't know, I have a code with Artvark Book Club. You can get your very first box for $4 with free shipping if you live in the United States. So that code is always down below in my description box if you want to check it out. I've subscribed to Artvark for the last year, and for 11 months of that year I paid with my own money. So this is a company that I monetarily support, and I just recommend them so much. I always really like their selection of books, and I think their quality, the quality of the books, is really good. It feels like these books are well made, and there are other subscription services where I think the books feel cheaply made, so I appreciate their attention to detail and the quality of the product that they send out. So for this month for Artvark Book Club, I got Blood on Her Tongue by Joanna Van Veen. This is gothic historical horror. I think it's also sapphic. There's something about vampires. I'm really interested in reading this. I hope I love it. Vampires are super hit or miss for me though, so anything could happen. But this is set in the Netherlands in 1887, and our main character's name is Lucy, and her sister Sarah is unwell, and I think Sarah starts to bite people. Or no, she refuses to eat. Okay, that's right. And then maybe she starts biting people? I don't know. I feel like there's something about cannibalism in here as well. Like maybe a mix-up of cannibalism with vampirism. I don't know. I haven't read it yet, but I am really excited to get to it. Hopefully in October. Hopefully it'll get on there for spooky season. Actually, everything I picked from Artvark for this month could be included for spooky season. I also got You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White. This is his adult horror debut, and the main character is a trans man who lives in this like hive mind cult situation, and he's in like an abusive relationship, and his boyfriend gets him pregnant, and then the hive forces our main character to carry the pregnancy to term. And I question why I got this pretty much every day, because pregnancy horror is a big no for me. I do not like to read about pregnancy in books, whether it's happy or traumatic or horrific. I don't care. I don't like to read about it. I also don't like to read about childbirth. There are subjects that I very much avoid. But I don't know. I really want to read Andrew Joseph White. I don't know why I didn't just try a horror, one of his YA horror books, but here I am with this book. Maybe I'll read it eventually. Maybe I won't. Who's to say? I'm not committing to anything at this moment. And then I got Aaron A. Craig's adult debut, A Land So Wide. I don't know why, but this is giving me Shay Earnshaw vibes, like her adult debut. I can't remember what it's called, but that one, I don't know even know if they're the same, but it gives me the same vibes. And this is in like this really tiny town in the Canadian wilderness. I'm sure it's going to be creepy because Aaron A. Craig's books are always a little bit creepy. And I think I'll really like this because I have really enjoyed Aaron A. Craig's writing in the past, and so many authors that I really like did blurbs on the back. Oh, A History of Wild Places is the Shay Earnshaw book that I was thinking of because she Has a blurb on the back. That's so funny. So yeah, again, another book I'm going to try and get to during spooky season because I feel like it will fit the vibes really well. Should we just do all the Aardvark Book Club books in one go? That feels like a good idea because I have more. Okay, and then the rest of the books that I've gotten from Aardvark in the past several months is The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling. This is medieval, sapphic, cannibalistic horror, and I thought it was okay. I realized reading this book that fever dream books don't really work for me, and this does get very fever dreamy. So I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was fine. I've yet to decide if I'm gonna hold on to it or if I'm gonna get rid of it. But I think if you like fever dreamy books, like this is really great. I loved the ending. I wish my buy-in for the rest of the book had been higher because if it had, this ending is fantastic. And then another one I've read is The Hounding by Zenobi Purvis. This is historical, weird girl literary fiction about 5 sisters who live in this small English village, and the villagers start to spread a rumor that the girls are turning into dogs. And so it's about power of rumor, of groupthink, how women are punished when they don't behave the way society deems appropriate, and I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars, 4.25 stars. I like the writing, I like the pacing, I like the structure of you have these main characters but you never get their story from their point of view. I thought it was very well executed, especially for a debut. And then the one I haven't read yet is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. And I really loved Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I've read Sangu Mandana's middle grade as well. I think she's a fantastic author. I feel like maybe I dropped the ball by not reading it in the summer because this does feel like a very summery book, but maybe I can squeeze it in September before we go full spooky season. I also just realized there's a little skeletal rooster on the cover. He's so cute. Okay, that will be fun when I get to it. Okay, and then I got The Library of the Dead by T.L. Hucci. I don't know how to say this author's last name. I'm not even going to try because I feel like I'll just do it such a disservice. I have actually read this before. I read it a number of years ago, and then it was the only book out, and now like book 5 is about to come out, and I remember loving it. But sadly, this is a book that at the time wasn't getting very good reviews. Not very many people liked it, but I loved it. We have a main character who I think she can speak to the dead. So our main character, she's a ghost talker. So she speaks to Edinburgh's dead, and she carries messages to the people those spirits have left behind. And then there's some sort of mystery. And yeah, I remember loving it. I really want to continue on with the series, but I desperately need to reread this one before I do because I clearly do not remember what happened in this book other than remembering that I liked it a whole lot. All right, next we have Lucky Day. This is by Chuck Tingle. This is his newest release. Ow. Why do I always do that? And this has to do with luck and probability. I didn't love this one. It's probably my least favorite of Chuck Tingle's horror, though with that said, I did still give this like a 4, a 3.75, something in that ballpark, because at the end of the day, I really like Chuck Tingle's writing. This one wasn't my favorite because it definitely felt the least horrific out of his collection of books. There were times where I forgot I was reading a horror novel. It wasn't as visceral, I think, as I was wanting it to be like the other two are. And there is a speculative element that is introduced into this book that I have since found out is not my favorite when it pops up in horror. And it's reminded me a lot of another book that does something similar, but I can't tell you what it is because that's a spoiler for the element that's introduced in here. And I just feel like because it's not mentioned on the dust jacket, I can't really talk about what it is without spoiling it. And I don't want to do that. So yeah, not my favorite, but I still think it's a fun, silly, goofy time if you're looking for that in a horror book. Sometimes I like a silly, goofy time and sometimes I don't. And then on Bookstore Romance Day, I picked up The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels by India Holton. I really loved my gosh, I can't talk anymore. The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love and The Map Maker's Guide to Geography. I'm confident I got the first title right. I'm not so confident that I got the second title right. But anyways, that series is not complete yet, but she does have a series that is complete, and this is book 1. And since I love those two so much. I gave the first one 5 stars. I gave the second one a 4.5. So I am wanting to continue to read her backlist because I just think she's going to be a favorite author, and I hope I love this series as much as I love the other one. I have tried to read this before and I DNF'd it because it was so silly, but I was much snobbier back then, and I think I have shed a lot of my snobbery, and now I can just enjoy this for the silly goofy time that it is. Okay, now we've got like a whole slew of sequels that I picked up. The publisher sent me The Memory of the Odyssey by Moses Osei Utomi, and this is the finale to the Forever Desert trilogy, which is a desert fantasy novella series. I absolutely love this whole series. I gave this book 5 stars. I think this wraps up the series perfectly. The books technically, I guess they're kind of standalones, but the way they connect is really subtle, but I do think you need to read them to get the full impact of what he is doing in these books. And they are about oppression and truth and things that are very, very relevant to the times that we are living in. The Hemlock Queen by Hannah Whitten. This is another series where I really need to reread book 1 so I can dive into book 2. And book 3 just came out a few months ago, but this is a romantasy series. I read book 1, I think when it first came out, and then haven't continued on since. But I really love Hannah Whitten. For the Wolf is a 5-star book for me. And I didn't love the second one quite as much, but I did love Foxglove. What is it? Foxglove? It must be King, right? Yeah, okay, Foxglove King. I really loved it. That was a 5-star for me, and I am hoping that we're not going to fall into the trap where her book 1 is a 5-star and her book 2 is not, but I am excited to restart this series, continue on with it, and see what happens, because I remember being really invested, really loving our main character, and very, very intrigued with the romance, and really wanting this book to go in a poly direction, as in polyamory. I don't know if it will, but I'm still holding out hope that maybe it'll do that. And then Voyage of the Basilisk by Marie Brennan is the 3rd book in the Memoir by Lady Trent series. This is a series that's told in journal entries from Lady Isabella Trent, who's now like an elderly, respected lady, and is recounting her adventures as a naturalist in like a fantasy world that's very much based off of Victorian England. And I want to continue because I really loved book 1 and 2. I think these are really fun. I'm not a huge fan of Emily Wilde. That one just doesn't quite work for me, but this is like the same idea, but I prefer the execution in this series. Though, as far as I know, there is not a romance in this series. Maybe there will be eventually, but in book 1 and 2, there was no romance. All right, and then we have a couple of books that my husband gave me for my birthday. I think there's another one floating around here somewhere, but I'm not quite sure where it went. He got me Women Living Dangerously. This is by Florence Given. I read her first book, Women Don't Owe You Pretty, and really loved it and gave it 5 stars. And then this is her sophomore book, and she does these really cool books that are illustrated. Maybe I won't show that one. I don't know if YouTube wants me to show boobs right away, but she just does these really lovely books with illustration and talks about things that are like really relatable if you're a woman living in the here and now. So I think I'll probably try to squeeze this in soon because I read her first book around this time of year a few years ago and really loved it. It says on the back, in this bold illustrated guide, Florence Given encourages women to rediscover their joy and redefine feminism for themselves. Sounds great. I'm in. And then he also gave me Valerie Valdez's newest book, Where Peace is Lost. I think this is a sci-fi standalone. It says it's a cozy space fantasy. Oh, I love when it's a genre mashup. I haven't even read the back of this yet. I really love Valerie Valdez's sci-fi trilogy, so I'm really excited for this. And this is about a refugee with a secret, a dangerous foe, and a road trip. I also love a road trip, especially in space, that could either save a planet or start a war. Yeah. I'm in. Okay, and next we're gonna have 2 books that I bought at my library sale. And actually my library sale, they're having one in like 2 days that I'm planning on going to. So look, the book collection's not gonna get smaller, okay? We're just gonna have to accept that. But I have read this one. It's The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I read this right before the movie came out, and I liked it okay. It's like a 3.5. I think the mystery is really well done. If you don't know what this is, I feel a little redundant telling you what this is, but understand not everyone consumes the same media that I consume. This is about 4 octogenarians who live at this retirement community in England, and they meet every Thursday to discuss cold cases and to try to solve them, hence the Thursday Murder Club. And then a real murder occurs at their retirement community, and they endeavor to solve the mystery with grudging assistance from the police. And yeah, I didn't love this, but I've heard this is the weakest out of the series, and so I am going to continue on to at least book 2, and if I like that one more, and then I'll continue on with the series. And then from that same sale, I got Blackouts by Justin Torres. I know this is a book about a gay man, and I know it has been nominated for a ton of awards and has won a fair amount of them, but I don't know a whole lot about it outside of that. I think the format is really interesting for this book. There's illustrations. Sometimes the text is, I don't know if you can see it because of my light, but sometimes the text doesn't take up the whole page. There's places where you get just a block of text. So there's a lot of negative space in this book, which I always find interesting when authors choose to have a lot of negative space. So this is definitely outside of my wheelhouse because it is very much literary fiction, but I am intrigued, and I'm hoping it's the type of literary fiction that I will really enjoy. This kind of counts as a sequel. I picked up The Witness for the Dead by Catherine Addison. I already own the rest of the trilogy. You can't see it because the publisher sent them to me, but I never had gotten book 1. So I grabbed it off of Pango, and unfortunately I didn't love it. This is set in the same world as The Goblin Emperor, and I read The Goblin Emperor a couple of years ago, and I really liked it, and this just felt like a totally different book. It took me a little bit to get into. There's a lot of fantasy words and a lot of fantasy names, to the point where it was really hard to follow at the beginning, because it felt like word salad, and since all the words were made up fantasy words, I couldn't look them up to help myself along. I just had to keep going. There is a murder mystery in this, which I thought was fine, but it meandered quite a bit even for such a short book. And I felt like our main character was very blank slate, and there wasn't a lot of personality to him, so I didn't love it. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue on with the series, but I do generally I like Catherine Addison's writing. This just iteration of it didn't work for me. All right, and then for my SFF book club, I picked up Tusk Love by Taya Guanzon, and this is a standalone fantasy romance that is based off of a book in a Critical Role campaign, and this was so fun. It was so fun. It was so silly. I really liked Oscar, our half-orc, and I can't remember her name, Guinevere, and they meet by happenstance. They go on a road trip. They fall in love. It's just a great, silly, goofy time, and I had a really silly, goofy time reading it. It's kind of embarrassing I haven't read this one yet, if I'm going to be honest. I have a Silverborn, The Mystery of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is book 4 in the Morgan Crow series, the Nevermore series, and I love this middle grade series. It's about a girl who goes to a magic school. It is the top tier middle grade magic school book, in my opinion. I don't think there is a series that is better than this one that does that, and I'm a little nervous to read this, if I'm being honest. First of all, Jessica Townsend. Why is she so chunky? But I love Morrigan. I love the cast of characters. I do think we wrapped up a arc at the end of book 3, so I believe this is starting the next arc of story that Morgan is going to go down. I don't really remember what happened in book 3, but I'm always down for more time with these characters. And then the publisher sent me this bind up of the Emily Adventures by Martha Wells. This is her YA fantasy duology. It's got steampunk vibes. I read book 1, Emily in the Hollow World, at the beginning of the summer, and I liked it quite a bit. I have not yet picked up Emily in the Sky World, but I'm sure I will eventually. Sometimes my brain bounces off of Martha Wells' writing in a big way. Murderbot really works for me, but I haven't found anything that she's written that works for me as well as Murderbot does. So I did bounce off this writing quite a bit. Because even though it's YA, like Martha Wells does not dumb down her writing for anybody. So I did struggle a little bit, but it's only a duology, so I want to finish it and then I'll have read more Martha Wells. Okay, and then I think this next stack is all ARCs that I got from the bookstore. If you don't know, I'm the social media manager for an independent bookstore, which means that I do get ARCs from that job, and theoretically I read them in a expeditious manner and then take them back so other people can read them. I am really bad about that, and so I've been trying to do better, and I have done better. It's not going to look like I've done better, but I have done better, I promise. First up, we have a new book by Kylie Lee Baker that comes out in November. This is called I'll Find You Where the Timeline Ends. I haven't read any Kylie Lee Baker yet. I've been interested in her books, but I just haven't made it enough of a priority. But look at this cover. It is stunning. I definitely just picked it up because of the cover. But it says, a teen descendant of a Japanese dragon god must learn the truth about what happened to her missing sister while avoiding falling for a handsome rogue agent. It's a magical YA romance. I think that sounds like a great time. And I mean, if it's anywhere as good as the cover, it's going to be great. Okay, I also have a finished copy of Terror at the Gates by Scarlett St. Clair. I haven't read Scarlett St. Clair yet, but this was going around the booktube and everybody was raving about it. This is dystopian, what is that word? Dystopian fantasy romance. And this world has, I don't think it's explicitly Christianity, but there is a very restrictive religion that sounds Christianity coded when people talk about it. And women are not treated great in this religion. And our main character, I think, breaks out of that. Anyways, her name is Lilith, and I hope I like it. I'm prepared not to, but you know, that's fine. It's good to try new things, right? Oh, and then a fantasy romance I am really excited for is Son of the Morning. This is Akrike Emezi's first fantasy romance. I'm so excited. I read You Made a Fool of Love with Your Beauty by them when it first came out, and I loved it. It was so well written. The characters were great. It was so messy and juicy, and oh, it was such a good time. And I'm really excited to see what they do in a fantasy romance space. And then an author I haven't read from yet, but I've been curious to is, Terror at the Gate is already out. Son of the Morning comes out in November. And then this is an arc for Eric LaRocca's next book called Burnt Sparrow, and this comes out in September, so it actually might be out by now. I haven't read him yet, and I've been interested in reading his books, and this one is compared to Twin Peaks, and I'm hoping I like it. I think sometimes, I don't know, the way I've heard his books described, I'm worried he's going to be a lot for me, like his horror is going to be a lot. But it says it's a devastating story of a small New England community rocked by an unforgivable act of violence, writing with visceral intensity, that's what I'm worried about, and profound eloquence. LaRocca journeys deep into the dark heart of Burnt Sparrow, leaving you chilled to the bone and wanting more. Fingers crossed this unlocks like a new favorite author, because that's all I want for myself. Do we have any more horror? Okay, we have maybe three more horror books. I think they're all YA. The Resurrectionist by Kathleen S. Allen. This comes out, publishers, help me. When does this come out? In October. And it is about a Victorian woman who unwittingly unleashes a monster into being in this gothic tale of medical mystery and sinister suspense. I am obsessed with the history of resurrectionists in historical time periods. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I just find it absolutely fascinating, and I love this cover. I love the skull. I love the outfit. I love the lime green in the background. It's 10 for 10. cover vibes. And then C.G. Drew's next YA horror, which comes out in October as well. I've heard this is very similar to Don't Let the Forest In vibes, but I loved Don't Let the Forest In. I gave it 5 stars, so that's totally fine with me. It says this is a deeply unsettling and yet hauntingly beautiful tale of murder and botanical body horror. So yeah, that sounds kind of like Don't Let the Forest In, but I don't care. I love that. I read it one day. I gave it 5 stars. I loved the moody, angsty writing. Oh, it's such a time, and I'm into whatever this is going to be. And then Kirsten White's newest book, which I think just came out last week, and I also love the cover. I really love Kirsten White. I feel like that's an unpopular opinion, but I love her writing. I love her books. I love Mr. Magic, though I know nobody loves that one. It's just me. I'm in that camp all by myself. I love her middle grade series. Have I read anything by her I haven't liked? I think the only one by her I haven't liked is Slayer. And that's just because I felt like she was having to prove her credentials to the Buffy fans while also trying to tell a story, and I did not like that. But yeah, I'm excited to read this. I don't know what it's about. Do you notice the theme? I go off of vibes so much now because I don't like to know too much. I think this is like she has to go in main character has to go in a haunted house to rescue her sister, and there's like a maze. Maybe not a competition, but like she has to go through some trials. I'm just so excited. I think Kirsten Wright really thrives in a YA middle grade space. I think her writing really lends well to that age category. And then the publisher sent me this is a advanced manuscript of Hache Pueyo's next book called Cabaret in Flames, which is a vampire book. Is it vampires? It's set in Brazil. I think it's ghouls are hunting people down. I don't know. I really liked her first book, the spider one, that I can't remember, but Not Too Bold. That's what it is. I really liked that. I didn't love it, but I really liked it, and I am excited for like whatever vampire-y, monstery thing this is going to be. And then I grabbed an arc of Casey West's adult debut. This is We Met Like This. This is her debut adult romance. She has in the past only written YA romance, and actually my teen loves her YA romance, and so I thought it would be fun to read this and then like get to talk to my teen about how much hopefully we both like Casey West's romances. I think this is Second Chance though, which would not be good because I don't like second chance romance, but you know, I'm open to having my mind changed. And then this one I don't know if I'll keep. This one might go back to the bookstore. This feels bold to have taken home, but I will admit the FOMO got to me a little bit. It's The Wild Reverence by, it's Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. This is her next book. I have not read Divine Rivals or the book 2. I've only read her other one. That's really helpful, isn't it? What's her other one called? Oh my goodness, there's acts. What are we doing with this table of contents? Oh no. I have read A River Enchanted. It was fine. I didn't care to continue on in the duology. I know this is set in the same world as Divine Rivals, but like 500 years in the past, so no spoilers as far as I've been able to tell from early reviews. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be for me. I don't know if Rebecca Ross is a for me author, but I want to give her another try. And then the book that arrived in the mail when I got home from work today is Once a Villain by Vanessa Len. This is the 3rd book, and I think the final book in the Only a Monster trilogy, which I loved book 1 and 2 so much. I don't even know how to explain this series. Our main character is Joan, and Joan in book 1 finds out that her family are monsters, and they can steal time from humans that allows them to time travel using years off of people's life. So they can take a little bit at a time so nobody notices, or they can take somebody's entire life with a touch. And there are heroes who are hunting down the monsters and trying to stop them from doing that, and there's a lot of stuff that happens. There is like the most delicious love triangle in this book, in this series. I'm usually not a fan of love triangles, but Vanessa Len does it so well that I am on both teams. Like, I don't care who Joan ends up with. I'm gonna be sad and happy no matter who she picks. And I'm really excited to finish up this series and see see what happens because book 2 ended on a big old cliffhanger and I just want everyone to be okay. All right, so that is my summer book haul. And I know I said it was smaller than my spring book haul, but I felt like I talked for a long time. So evidently I had way more to say about these books than I did the last stack. But yeah, if you've read any of these, I would love to hear your thoughts. If there's any you feel like I need to really prioritize as we get into spooky season and winter, let me know. If you would like to just leave an emoji to let me know you were here. Goodness gracious. I guess let's do a flower emoji since there's flowers on the cover of Once a Villain. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!